Hare Krishna. Very good. Welcome to the Bhagavad Gita series. So we are in chapter 9. And in the middle of chapter 9, very, very important section of the Bhagavad Gita. The most important section, arguably. So before we start, we'll recite our Mangalacharan prayers. Mangalacharan prayers ensure success. Success not just for the program that we are here today on Sunday, but success in your understanding of Bhagavad Gita properly. So that is the main success in your life. So that is the success that we are aiming for. So let me share the screen. Okay. Okay. Hopefully this can be seen. Let me change this a little bit. And make this a little bit. Okay. Good. So we are in our Veda base. And in introduction, we have these prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutah Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patityanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. So, we will resume our discussion on chapter 9. So I'll share my slides and here we are on chapter 9. The most confidential knowledge. Okay. In verse number 1 and 2, both verses, Lord Krishna says, Idam tute guhyatamam. And then in the second verse, he says, Rajguhyam. So this is the topmost knowledge, and we discussed a little bit about the confidentiality, that something which is very important is what is confidential. And it is confidential if we listen to it, if we understand it with the understanding that Krishna as God is speaking. So by the way, all of those on Zoom, please, and in the class, at least I can see everybody has a book, everybody is obviously listening, hopefully. Externally it looks like everybody is listening, but behind the Zoom, please also try to listen carefully. If possible, turn on your camera and with the book in front of you, please listen very carefully. Today's class, and if we cannot finish chapter 9 today, then in next class, these two are the most, I would say, two of the most important classes of the entire series. So please listen or pay very, very careful attention. So we stopped at 9.15, but very quickly, this is the most confidential knowledge, Rajaguhyam. Why is it confidential? We discussed about that. And we discussed the paradoxical nature of Bhagavan. That if we try to figure out Bhagavan with our own intelligence, it is not possible. But only by bhakti, only by devotion, it is possible to understand who is Bhagavan. And then Lord Krishna says that, so I have put some key words, key phrases in the slides, but mainly I will refer to the book, and you also need to go along with me verse by verse in the book. So the faithless, the doubters, and slowly it could devolve into being a demoniac mentality. What is the mentality there? The primary mentality is God is not God. If we say God means like somebody who is very powerful, much bigger, greater than us, he is not that. What is that mentality? Manushim tanum ashritam. He's just a ordinary person just like me. I'm a human being, he's also a human being. Today he may be greater, but tomorrow I can become greater. All demons think like that. Ravana thought, I will overpower, kill Ram. Hiranyakashipu thought same way. That is the demonic mentality. And they don't know param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. They do not know my param bhava, that I am the Lord of the entire creation. They just don't know that. They might have heard it, they think it's theory. And it's like, there are always loopholes, or it is an exaggeration, or something like that. And they don't have full belief, full faith in that, and they think they can overpower. And such people in the 9.12, it is mentioned that their grand hopes for a bright future by overpowering God are completely dashed. Mogha asha, mogha karmano, mogha jnana vichetasaha. Everything is lost. And they are completely, they devolve into a rakshasim, asurim chaiva, prakritim mohinim ashritaha. They think I am a human. On the contrary, they become demoniac. Completely of a demoniac mentality. So 9.11 and 9.12 were describing the demoniac mentality. On these slides, I kind of got deleted, so I kind of found them or created some of them. 9.13, Lord Krishna is describing the characteristics of a shuddha bhakta. So this word shuddha bhakta I will use, of a pure devotee, the topmost, the best possible kind of devotee. So 13 is describing the internal mood of a shuddha bhakta, and 14 is describing the external activities of a shuddha bhakta. So internal and external. So very important, we discussed it last time. Mahatma, such a person is called a Mahatma. Okay, that is the Vedic understanding of Mahatma. Okay, today we call Mahatma anybody. So Mahatmanastu mam partha, that such a person, mam daivim prakritim ashritaha, takes shelter of my internal energy, which means he takes complete shelter of me. Bhajanti ananya manaso, with one pointed attention, one pointed focus. What do? They do my bhajan. Bhajanti ananya manaso. Ananya means ananya, nothing else. Anya means something else, other. Ananya, nothing else, which means one pointed focus. They do my bhajan. Bhajan does not mean like your, bhajan with a musical, like you may say YouTube bhajan. If you say bhajan, you will get not that. That is only one small subset of bhajan. This is a very big topic. Bhajan means navavidha bhakti. There are so many 9 processes, and which can be further subdivided. There are so many ways of doing bhajans. What are we doing right now, sitting here in Bhagavad Gita class? Is it bhajan or is it not bhajan? it is also bhajan. Okay, if you are walking in a park and you are taking God's name, Krishna's name, some people write on a notebook, would that be bhajan?
Yeah.
Absolutely, that is bhajan. If you are teaching your child something related to Bhagavan, is that bhajan? That is also bhajan. If you are cooking with the full consciousness that I am cooking for Bhagavan, and then you are worrying about measuring how much salt to put, how much ingredients to put, is that bhajan? That is also bhajan. If you are worshipping the deity with a deepa, with a little fire lamp or a flower, is that bhajan? That is also bhajan. Okay. If you are going and telling your friends or giving them books, Bhagavad Gita, is that bhajan? That is also bhajan. All this is bhajan. So bhajantya ananya manaso. So the most important point is, while doing that, this actually will come in the next slide, 9.14. So whatever I described, cooking or worshipping or whatever, like Bhagavad Gita discussion we are doing, these are external things, isn't it? If somebody were to turn on video camera, he can record, he can see what's going on. So it is external. In this verse, it is not just externally, but internally also, with full absorption. That is why that word full absorption is there highlighted. The mind should be fully absorbed in Krishna. So that is the meaning of bhajantya ananya manaso. In the mind, mana, there should be full absorption while one is doing the external activities. Okay, full absorption. Not like, okay, cooking, oh, I'm getting late for my meeting, so I have to, or I have to go shopping, or I'm getting late for a movie. Not like that, with full absorption. And the third point, so first point was daivim prakritim ashritaha, they take shelter of my internal energy. Second point is bhajanti ananya manaso, and the third point is gyatva bhutadim avyayam, they know my tattva, my essence, the core principle. Tattva means the core principle. Okay, or core principles. It need not be one, it could be a set of principles, but core principles. What is the core principle here that is described? Bhuta adi avyayam, that I am there. There means the devotees. Bhuta, we are devotees, are bhuta, they are jivas. We are living entities. Adi avyayam, that he is the timeless and eternal cause. That means we are all his parts and parcels from time immemorial. Okay. So knowing this, so knowing is also internal, having that consciousness, having that conviction of the tattva of Bhagavan. So 3 points are being mentioned in this verse, very important verse. So that is the internal mood or internal consciousness of a shuddha bhakta. Is that clear? The external activities. What are the external activities? 9.14, another super important verse of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9.
Notification on the screen.
Thanks. The external activity, what is it? Satatam kirtayanto mam. Satatam. Satatam means always doing my kirtan. Kirtan means doing something, speaking from the mouth. So are we doing kirtan right now? Yes. If you are singing with an instrument, that is also kirtan. If you are doing japa, that is kirtan. Okay. If you are writing on a book, maybe that is borderline kirtan and borderline smaran. Okay, but you get the concept. Here the concept is being described. Okay. Satatam kirtayan. So I chose to put this second line first. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavrataha. Very important point. Dridhavrata, which means with a determined vow or a dridha, determination. Vrat means vow. I am just taking very literal words, which means in a very determined way. not in a lax way, not like, chalta hai. And many people say, no, I'm always, God is always in my mind. So maybe that is true. That was definitely the case with Mirabai. But we should not say that cheaply. Oh, God is always there. For those of us who are in the spiritual path, it will need some force or some determination. Okay, so for us it is yatantascha drihavrata. What these devotees are doing, the bhaktas, always engaged in my kirtana, satatam kirtayanto maam, bowing down before me, namasyantascha, and bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. Nitya yukta, always engaged. Yukta means engaged. Nitya, always engaged. Upasate, in my activities, in my various service. Upasana just doesn't mean standing in front of the deity of God and folding your hands. That is upasana. But also upasana means all these other activities of bhakti are also upasana. Nitya yukta upasate, in my service, in my seva. So these are the external activities that they are doing. So it is a combination. So while they are doing these activities, their internal consciousness is based on the previous verse. Okay, so internal and external. Clear? So this is Shuddha Bhakta. And then everybody in between, the progressing spiritualists. That's what I have called it. Others who have not come to the path of Shuddha Bhakti. Not yet. Okay? And who are not also at the 9.11 or 12 level. Who are not, please sit down. Who are not at a demoniac level or in a devolving level. They are trying to go up. They are not going down. Okay. So the progressing spiritualists, and some of them have some attachment to the jnana marg. They are more attached to jnana path. That's why it is said jnana yajna cha api anye, and others. Which means the bhakti is not fully there in the bhakta, means one who is just fully absorbed in Krishna. Fully absorbed. He may even do some wrong things, or so to say wrong things, which in Jnana path, if you see, oh, how do you did that? That's not correct. Can anybody give me an example? Somebody did something apparently wrong, but in bhakti, that is considered more superior, more sweeter. Anybody?
There was this
very straightforward examples that come right at the top of your mind. Everybody should have heard of these examples. Very common. Huh?
The movie that I saw.
Don't we have a hint?
Killing life. Killing life for good.
Have you heard the name of Shabri?
Yeah.
What did she give to Lord Ram? First, she half-eaten fruits. Half-eaten. So first she ate and then she gave half-eaten. Is that nice thing? Will you eat it if I gave you like that? Probably not. Would you give such a thing to your guests? But that is considered so sweet. We glorify such activity because the consciousness was completely pure. So those who are attached to little bit of jnana path, if some big rishi saw, oh, what are you doing? You cannot give that to Lord Ram. But that is not the mood. So those who have this little bit of attachment to very, or who are not pure devotees, or who are attached to Gyan path. There are three levels. Brahman, which is called as Ekatvena, Prithatvena Bahudha, and Vishwato Mukham. Ekatvena means that everything is one. We have discussed this topic of Brahman, the universal, the one common reality of absolute truth, the spiritual reality, the Sat. Everything is Sat. Sat means the eternal Brahman. or some people. So here is like the, in between, this is the spectrum I was showing. On one end are the Rakshasas and Asuras, 9.11 and 9.12 verses. On the other end are Shuddha Bhakta. Then there are many in between. We are like that, isn't it? So broadly, they can be divided into three categories. The Brahman, who believe in the Brahman, that everything is the absolute spiritual truth, or some are worshipping devatas, devi devatas, prithaktvena bahudha, so many different devatas, or the universal material form. They look at this big everything creation and they say this is God. Okay, so we'll go into details of this subsequently and in future chapters. I won't spend too much time here. Okay. So, yajanto mam upasate, if you see this verse. Jnana yajna 9.15. Please look in your books. Jnana yajna cha api anye yajanto mam upasate. So these people who worship these other somewhere in the middle, mam upasate, they worship me only. Okay, mam upasate, they are doing my worship only. Why? Why is Krishna saying ultimately they are worshipping me only?
Because these devatas are all created by him.
Exactly, because Krishna is everything. Or he is not, or you can say he is the source of everything. So if one is worshipping any of those, indirectly one is worshipping Krishna only, mam upasate. And then in these next four verses, which are very beautiful, 16, 17, 18, and 19. In four verses, Lord Krishna is describing 39 examples of how Krishna is everything. Everything that exists is Krishna. So very, very beautiful verses. And, this whole chapter 9 is very beautiful. In the first verse itself, there are 8 instances of the word aham. Aham kratur, aham yajna, swadhaham, aham aushadham, mantro aham, aham evajyam, aham agnir, aham hutam. I'm all these things. So aham kratur. Kratur means that the various processes of worship, the various actions of worship by various sacrifices. I am that. Aham yajna. I am that whole overall offering that we do of yajna. Aham swadha. I am the offering. Aham aushadham. So please go over, we will go over some of them. Aham aushadham. I am the, what is aushadha? Medicine. So I am the medicine. So when you are eating a medicine and you get cured, yes, you can think of it like a whatever biochemical or whatever, COVID vaccine and RNA and DNA and all those mRNA. Ultimately, it is Krishna who is at the source of it. He is the medicine. Aham aushadham. So please, in your free time, please go over each of these 39 points Lord Krishna is making and contemplate on them. Rejoice. Whichever one touches you. There are few which I have put here which I like more than the others. Everybody has their own liking. So you may think, wow, Krishna is this, Krishna is that. And it's directly coming from Krishna himself in his words in the Bhagavad Gita. And it has the potential for arousing immense joy. For me, it is a sense of gratitude for Krishna, like aushadham. That's the first one I have put there. Aham aushadham. When, somebody falls sick and then through some medicine or some, whatever process he gets cured, it's Krishna who is working there. Aham aushadham. And realization, you can get a realization of who Bhagavan is. what Bhagavan is saying about himself. So some that I liked are Aushadham, Aham, Aushadham, Mantro, Aham, I am the mantra. So whenever we are chanting any mantra, any Vedic mantra, not your man-made self mantra, okay, Vedic mantra, you are basically taking, it is all referring to Krishna. So some people ask, okay, why should we chant Hare Krishna mantra versus Om versus this? They are all referring to Krishna. A direct one is better, or whichever one your Acharya or your Guru has given, you chant that. So Aham mantra, mantro Aham. Okay. Aham eva ajyam, Aham agni, Aham hutam. These are the various components of a fire sacrifice. Ajyam means the ghee that you offer. Agni, the fire, and the hutam is whatever else you offer along with in the sacrifice, in the process of sacrifice. Next verse. Pita aham jagatas, Pita aham asya jagato. I am the father of the whole world. Directly he's saying here, I am the father. Mata dhata pitamaha. I am the father, the mother, everyone. Pitamaha, the grandfather. Dhata, the maintainer, the supporter. So I am Mata, Pita. Okay. Vedyam Pavitram Omkara. I am the Om. He's saying, I am Om. Rig, Sama, Yajur, Evacha. I am the three Vedas. Of course, there is Atharva Veda and there is also so many other Vedas, but these are the three main Vedas.
So Adharvana is not a main Veda.
Doesn't matter. Okay. So I am the Vedas. Then in the next verse, 18th. Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi. So I am the Sakshi. He's the witness. He's watching everything. Don't think you're not being watched. Sakshi means witness. Nivasaha. Sharanam Suhrita. Sharanam, he is the shelter, the ultimate shelter of everyone. Suhrita. Where have we read this Suhrita? Suhridam, I am the friend. Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam, 5th chapter, last verse. I am the friend of everyone. Krishna is the friend. Suhrida. Prabhavaha Pralayaha Sthanam Nidhanam Bijam Avyayam. And then the last one, Tapami Aham Varsham Nigrahanami Utsijami Cha Amritam Chaiva Mrityuscha Sad Asad Cha Aham Arjuna. Sat and Asat. In Sat and Asat, everything has been captured. Sat means everything spiritual. Asat means everything material. So is there anything else other than that? Everything is either material or spiritual. So he's saying, I am everything. So that is Krishna. This is a mind-boggling concept. Some may say, oh, Bhagwan is generally, oh, I am everything. Okay, sab. Chalo bhai, sab everything. Some may think like that, like trivialize these 4 verses. Oh, whatever it is, huh? It's like a very proud man. Oh, this is also mine. This is also mine. I'm the owner. Oh, yes, I'm the owner. Whatever you point out, yes, I am that. One can trivialize it. But this is a very, very deep understanding of who Bhagwan is. So later in your spiritual careers, career is not the right word, but in your spiritual progress, we can discuss more deeply as to what does this mean. Okay, there are deeper classes we do, deeper studies, and there's an opportunity for everybody to understand very deeply what it means when Krishna says, I am everyone and everything. Okay. So far, so good. Now, yet, people worship others or worship or have their faith. It's not just about worship. Have their faith, have their shraddha, have their love towards others. And specifically, who is being mentioned here? The devatas, various demigods or devatas. So, even via spiritual paths, those who are following, again, we are discussing those who are we are discussing this in between spiritualists. That's what is being discussed here. And there is the second category, various devatas, prithak tvena bahudha. So those who may know that Krishna is everything, okay. Now, some may think, oh yes, because there is Brahman, everything is Brahman, Krishna is also Brahman, so Krishna can say, I am everything. That is the wrong understanding. Then you are reducing Krishna to this level of Brahman. Now again, I'm a little bit going into the philosophical side. Brahman is not the original topmost cause and Krishna is not the effect. Krishna is the cause and Brahman is the effect. So yes, it is true that everything is Brahman, but that Brahman is coming from itself from Krishna. Therefore, the more accurate or the more philosophically correct statement is to say everything is Krishna. If you really want to go to the topmost cause. Yes, there is an intermediate level, which is Brahman, which is also everything. Okay. So, even via spiritual paths, those who are worshipping somebody else other than Krishna, why are they doing so? Either it could be plainly due to ignorance, I don't know. We'll talk about that. But those who know, here we are talking about those who know, knowingly, they do it for their own personal gratification. And it is not just the Vedic Devi Devatas, even the non-Vedic ones. Okay? Non-Vedic ones like who? The politician. We call them, bootlickers. While they are in power, you go worship them. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You get your benefits. And then you are happy. You don't really have a love for them. You have love for yourself. So for their personal gratification. But many people also worship Devis and Devatas and always say, give me this, give me that, give me that. They go with a long wish list. So about them, Lord Krishna is saying that even those Trai Vidya Mam Somapah Puta Papa. Now I'm on 20th verse. So Trai Vidya means following the three Vedas. So by following the Vedas, and they are following the spiritual path, and Vedas are ultimately guiding to the spiritual path. But we discussed that a lot of the Vedic processes are towards the demigods because it makes them progress in their material life and gives them the understanding that there is something beyond you. Somebody else is there. So it's a very gradual progression to bhakti. But people get trapped in that and stay at that level only. So by following the Vedas and by doing good deeds, Yagyair Ishtva Swagatim Prarthayante Te Punyam Asadya Surendra Loka. So by doing punya, by doing good activities, and by desiring to drink this somapaha, this somarasa. Somaras is this heavenly nectar that you can drink in the heavenly planets, by which more and more punya can be obtained. So that is the desire. Just I want to attain punya so that I can enjoy to go to swarga, surendra loke. And ashnati divyan divideva bhogan. Ashnati means what? What is ashnati? To eat. Okay. So they want to eat or they want to enjoy. Divideva bhogan. To enjoy like the devatas. Okay. So they do all these Vedic processes, this worshipping the demigods and all that. But ultimately the goal is personal sense gratification. Even by going to swarga, and swarga is called here as Surendra Loka. Surendra is the name of Indra. Indra Loka. So they worship the demigods. And what happens? But what Krishna is saying that ultimately they are worshipping me. Traividya Mam. They are ultimately worshipping me only. They worship me, but they worship me indirectly. Why again? What's the reason? Krishna is saying that ultimately they are worshipping the demigods, but they are worshipping me. Because?
Krishna is separate.
Because Krishna is the cause and Brahma is the effect?
Yes, because Krishna is the cause, and all the benefits that the demigods give are ultimately provided by Krishna. They are just middlemen forwarding whatever they are. They are like the government officers. They don't own those things that they are handing out. That belongs to the king, and the king is Krishna, the king of the entire creation. So they worship, ultimately they are worshipping me only, but indirectly. And what is the result of that? That is given in the next verse, 21. The result is that they remain caught in the cycle of birth and death. And how is that? So Lord Krishna says, after great enjoyment in swarga, so it is possible by doing a lot of good activities, giving a lot of charity, being a very good person, etc., they can earn punya points, goodness points. And if you earn enough punya, then you can go to Swarga Loka or the other heavenly planets. There are many other heavenly planets. Swarga is the best of them. So they get to enjoy a lot over there. Te tvam bhuktva swarga lokam vishalam. Vishalam. Vishala means great amount of. Bhuktva. Bhuktva means to enjoy. In Swarga Loka. Now, great life. Excellent. No COVID is there, no cancer, no heart problems, no diabetes. You can eat as much as you want. No problems are there. There's only one problem. What is that problem? It's not permanent. Once your bank balance of punya is depleted, is gone, kshine, kshine means gone. Punye, look at your books. Punye, next word, next line, punya. When the punya is kshina, is gone, martya lokam vishanti. What is martya loka? Earth. What was the contrary of that, the opposite of that used? Surendra Loka. So Surendra Loka, then Martya Loka. Martya Loka Vishanti. Vishanti means वापस आ गए. कहते हैं ना हिंदी में घर के बुद्धू लौट के आए. हाँ, लौट के बुद्धू घर को आए. What is it? You understood? So ठीक है, you had some temporary enjoyment and then you came back here. And then after coming back here, what do? Then they return to the earning process of dharma artha. That is what is known as here evam trayi dharmam anuprapanna. So this dharma artha kama cycle continues. That is the trayi dharmam. Dharma artha, you go and do your legal, you earn your money. Your bank balance is now 0. Now you start putting in money. And thus, gata gatam kama kama labhante. This cycle continues. Kama kama. They will keep enjoying, and gata gatam, coming back and enjoying. So this picture I have showed, you work hard on the left side, then you earn some money, then you go and do some vacation. Then your bank balance is depleted, then you again come back. So that cycle keeps going. So this picture is depicting this verse. So if you are happy with this cycle, then no problem.
So, if they do punya activity in Swarga, what happens? They start doing punya activity
No.
in Swarga Lok.
Oh, then that is like saying there's another picture here where I didn't put it. It was showing in the vacation, he's sitting on laptop. If you have gone to the vacation, then you enjoy the vacation. Why you have to do it? You should keep your laptop at home. That is the place of enjoyment. Yes, you can do that.
It's only enjoyable.
Yes, the purpose of the hard work was to enjoy. Now there also, if you're working hard, yes, maybe you can sit in the resort and keep working. But why would you then sit in the resort and keep working? You can as well sit at home and work. You're not really enjoying them. Your family may be enjoying, you're sitting in your hotel room and seeing in the swimming pool, your family is having fun, but you are sitting and doing your work. So you're not mentally, I mean, actually you're not enjoying. You're continuing to do punya karma. That is what brought you to the swarga. There also, first of all, nobody needs to do punya. There is somebody need to be ready to receive it. Who will you give charity to in swarga? Everybody is rich. We have doctor here. So doctor can say, I will do free treatment. But there's nobody sick. Who will you treat? Even if you want to do free treatment, everybody is healthy. Doctor is redundant. So what punya can you do in Swargaloka? Not much opportunity to do punya. Okay. Supply of punya doers is more than the demand of punya receivers. Demand is zero. Supply is like a what? Excess supply. Does that answer your question?
But how does the punya get depleted? I mean, you're not doing any paap.
No. So punya does, that's how the Lord has made the material world. Punya gets depleted when you enjoy. That's how it works. You cannot, I mean, what do you mean how?
I mean, you're not doing any harm.
Oh, harm is not the only harm, or doing sinful activity does not deplete punya at all. Even here, it builds your negative bank balance that you have to pay back. You have two accounts, credit account and debit account. Think of it like that. One is not related to the other. This is another common misconception, which I think we had clarified before. That it's not like you do a lot of punya, and then if you do sinful activity, you will not suffer because of that, because you are just using up some punya. Okay, you still have to suffer. These are two separate. All right. So by doing sinful activity, it does not deplete your punya at all. You have to enjoy. We discussed this. If you sow a sweet fruit, you have to eat the sweet, sow a sweet tree, and you water that tree, you get a sweet fruit. You have to eat that fruit. If you are sowing a tree that gives sour fruits, you still have to eat those fruits as well. You cannot say that one compensates the other. Okay. All right. So the principle, the law of karma is that whatever you sow, you have to reap. You have to eat. Okay. So this 9.21 is very important verse where it shows that if you do punya activities, you can go to swarga, but it is not permanent. You still come back here after your punya is depleted. Kshine punye martya lokam vishanti. All right.
Can
Is there no
depletion be
bhakti
de-accelerated with bhakti? You are in Swarga.
It is again not possible. It's extremely rare to. Question is, can one do bhakti in swarga?
Yeah.
It is theoretically possible, but it is practically impossible, because there is so much distraction for sense enjoyment. It is the place of sense enjoyment. Okay. So many times, even I, have taken my laptop to a vacation, that I will do some work. But once I go, I hardly open it. Then I come back and say, I took this with me, but I ended up just spending all the time going around and, doing stuff. I couldn't even work. So that theoretically it is possible, but practically it is There is absolutely, the circumstances are such that it is practically impossible, because it is full of enjoyment. And those who have gone there, their consciousness itself is not, if somebody's consciousness is so pure that he wants to do bhakti, the swarga loka is not going to be the destination. They will go to tapaloka or a higher loka, maharloka, where they can continue and do their bhakti and go to higher planets. But swarga loka, the whole consciousness and then the resulting activities that you did of punya came from that consciousness of sense gratification. You did that, you were, hardworking enough, like that little guy there in the picture, and you earned it, and now you have gone there. How can your consciousness completely change? Oh, now I will do bhakti. You are that same person who worked so hard with the consciousness of enjoyment. Now you are there. Now you are just theoretically saying, oh, I will transform myself into a bhakta. I will not care about all the enjoyment right in front of me, ready for my bhoga. Is that possible? Not possible, no? Whole year you saved money so that you will go to Las Vegas, and then you will, enjoy in the casino. And finally you are there, and then you say, oh, I want to screw the casino, I'll go to the temple. That change of consciousness cannot, it is just theoretical.
If somebody is a bhakta and he goes to swarga,
How will he go to Swargaloka? His destination will be different. He can also do punya karma. A bhakta, we will cover this in chapter 12. Bhakta is not indifferent to others. He also does a lot of punya karma. But that punya karma, and we will see this in this chapter itself. Maybe you can open 27 and 28. Especially 28. What does Lord Krishna say there? That whatever you do, that is bhakti, you do it as an offering to me. Mad arpanam. And then the very next verse he says, Shubhar Ashubham Phalaireva Mokshase Karma Bandhana. You do not get any karma bandhana. You are free, moksha, of any shubha and ashubha phal. So it becomes a karma. And when there is a karma, there is no punya, you will not go to swarga. You get the theory? So bhakta can also do punya karma, but that is a special type of punya karma where only the input looks like punya. But his punya bank balance is not increasing. He is getting moksha. Moksha means relief. He gets a completely different result. Then Lord Krishna says in the same verse, Maam upaishyati. You come to me. You look at 9.28. We'll cover that today. Shubha ashubha phala evam moksha se karma bandhanaihi sannyasa yoga yuktatma. He is like, as if it is like sannyasa. Vimukto maam upaishyasi. He comes to me. That is a karma. Even though he may be doing various activities as per the previous verse. Yad karoshi, yad ashnashi, yad juhoshi, dadasi, yad tapasyashi kaunteya, tad kurushva madarpanam. With that consciousness, if you do, then you are moksha from the shubha, ashubha, phalam and karma bandhanam. So you are not on the path to swarga. You are on a totally different track. ठीक है, समझ में आ रहा है?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is 9.20 and 21. All right. Yeah, not possible. The whole point, the whole consciousness with which you went there cannot just magically change.
It came from this question. That's why.
Yeah, it cannot magically change that now I will become bhakta. Doesn't happen like that. Okay, now before going further, Lord Krishna gives a very stark contrast of a shuddha bhakta. This is again 9.22, a very, very, very super important verse of the entire Bhagavad Gita, and one of the very, very confidence and faith building verses. Lord Krishna makes a very strong promise here. He's promising to everyone. So what does he say? So each verse has 4 pada, or 4 quartlets, 4 parts. First 2 is what the bhakta does. Ananyas chintayanto mam. So for my shuddha bhakta, who ananya means exclusively, ananya. And again this word is coming, ananya. Chintayanto mam. Chintayanto means thinking, absorbed, always absorbed in my thoughts. Only, ananya, only. Ananyas chintayanto mam. Ye janah paryupasate, and are always engaged in doing activities of my bhakti. What does Krishna do? I tesham nityabhyuktanam, those who are engaged like this, yoga kshemam vahamyaham, vahami aham. Very, very important, this last line. Krishna's promise is there in this last line. Yoga kshemam vahami aham. So yoga means what they have, and kshema means what they lack. Vahami aham, I take care of both. Vahami, I bring. Vahami, like I am a vahan. It's vaha means vehicle, or it's a vahan, which means he is the carrier of both. So the translation is, I preserve what they have and I carry what they lack, which means I take full care of my devotees. Look at the previous verse. They have to, who is doing all this hard work? Who is burning in this hard work here? Who is doing all this? Who is burning, as they say, the midnight oil? The person, isn't it? He is working so hard and earning, dollar by dollar. Finally, he gets some enjoyment. So it is all his hard work. Is there any contribution by Krishna here in that whole verse? Nothing. But whereas in this verse, what is Lord Krishna saying? Yoga kshemam vahami aham. He is playing such a major role in the life of a devotee. And what are the characteristics of such a devotee? Ananyas chintayanto mam. Always absorbed in my thoughts only. Ye janah paryupasate. Tesham nitya abhiyuktanam, who are completely absorbed. Not like little bit time pass, 5%, 10% absorption. We are talking about very serious, very, very, very serious devotees. Okay, so we should not also trivialize this. Oh, okay, a little bit we are doing Sunday 9 to 12. No, not Sunday 9 to 12. Always fully absorbed. But so it is harder than what the kind of life we are living today. Harder because we are not used to it, but otherwise it is very simple. It's like a dog's life for a master, pet dog. I gave that example so many times. What does he do? Does he do hard work? Have you all seen National Geographic or something? They show some tiger in Africa. Does he have to do hard work to earn his meal?
Yeah.
They show sometimes he's running. Sometimes the deer or whatever, the buffalo outruns the tiger, isn't it? And then we all feel happy. He was not eaten. But look at from the tiger's standpoint, it is like so much hard work. Today also I have to go hungry. Isn't it? So much hard work. Does pet dog ever go hungry, especially in America? Maybe they also have obesity problem. We don't know.
All the cats do.
They get so much to eat and they don't have any physical activity. The master is also watching TV all day and dog is also. But he's always well fed. He gets to eat pizza, lasagna, ice cream, all the nice things without doing anything except for just being a loving, faithful companion, servant of his master, isn't it? So is that better than that tiger in the forest who has to earn his living every day, hard work? Here he's getting free food. So I'm not trying to make us into dogs or anything, but the point, try to get the point. If we love Krishna, he takes care of all our problems. All our problems. That is what he's saying in 9.22. He completely takes control of the life of his shuddha bhaktas. Completely takes control. They are just coasting on autopilot. He is the autopilot. He is driving their vehicle. They are just enjoying, like literally like a pet dog. The driver, the master is driving and he is in the back seat, sticking out his neck and enjoying the air.
And just little difference is that here, even the door is open. If the dog wants, he can go out, like the free will. Pet dog is the independence.
Yeah. That's okay.
Here you have to free will.
Okay. So we have some.
About the
We have this nice example. When Srila Prabhupada was coming to America, he had darshan of Lord Krishna. When he was on the ship, he got two heart attacks. One can think, Are Krishna, I have done so much. And what is your reciprocation to me? 2 heart attacks. He could have said, turn back the ship. I am going. Enough of Krishna. No, he continued. He kept going. Okay. And then he had darshan of Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna personally came and told him that from now on, I am the driver. You just be the instrument. You just be the actor. I will drive your ship. You don't have to worry. There's another story, especially on this verse, 9.22, of a great Acharya known as, his name was Arjuna Acharya. He was very, very, very poor. Now, when I say poor, it may mean in your mind very suffering. Poor is equated to pain and suffering, isn't it? Does that thought come in your mind? So he was not feeling that at all. But his wife was little bit, because one day they did not even have food for the child. For themselves, they may not have, but the child was crying. So she was telling him, what you are doing all this, And he was writing a commentary on Bhagavad Gita. And he was on that verse, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. So he was also a little affected by seeing his child crying for hunger, due to hunger. So he little bit got affected. And as he was writing the commentary, he crossed out that line, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. And he did not write a commentary on that part. He was feeling little, very distressed in his heart. Then he went for a bath. So then there was a knock on the door. And 2 boys showed up, carrying lot of food, lot of things. And they said that, our guru, Arjuna Acharya, said, the wife says, I have never seen you. He says, no, we are his students. When he goes out, he teaches us. So he has sent all these things and asked me to deliver all this to your house. And they were carrying so much load because there was just too many things. So she felt little bit, that how is he so heartless that he made these 2 little boys carry so much weight. Okay, no problem, you keep it. So they kept it and they started going, and on their back there were like beating marks, red beating marks. They said, who beat you? Why this? Our teacher is very strict, We didn't write the verses properly and we did not learn the verses properly. And so he beat us with a stick. She says, what? I thought my husband is a good man and I will teach him a lesson when he comes back. So then they leave. Then when he comes back, then she asks, your two students are there. So I don't have any students. What are you saying? They brought all these things. Who will otherwise bring? So what? And you beat them. And you told them that you didn't write this verse properly. Which verse? Yogakshemam vahamyaham. You didn't learn this verse properly, and so you beat them, they said. Then he realized. He knew that he doesn't have any other students. He said, was one of the boys blue colored? He said, yes. So which means that Krishna and Balaram themselves came and they brought all these things for the Acharya. So this is a true story of Arjuna Acharya, and Krishna never forgets his devotee. It doesn't mean that the devotees are in pain or in suffering. That is not the understanding. We may think if we are poor, it means pain and suffering. They don't feel that way. Same thing with Sudama. His wife had told, go, your friend is the king of Dwarka. Go ask him for something. He goes, but doesn't end up asking. If you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, you will see there. He doesn't end up asking, but when he comes back, he has everything. So Krishna never forgets his devotees, his pure devotees. One should have that faith. And Krishna is claiming that, he is proclaiming that in this verse, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. So if this verse is not, building your faith, then you have to see where it is lacking. This is a very, very important verse. Krishna is giving a direct promise. There will be another verse like this, 9.31, where he will say, Na me bhakta pranashyati. My devotee is never destroyed. Never. So, if we become a shuddha bhakta of Bhagavan, then there can be no problems at all. There will be no problems at all, even in this life. And then next life, there is no next life at all anyway. So one must try to become a very, very, very shuddha bhakta. And shuddha bhakta does not mean Sunday 9 to 12. That is a very trivialized meaning. Really shuddha bhakta. Ananyas chintayanto mam. Satatam kirtayanto mam. So all that means the Shuddha Bhakta. So continuing on that, they don't have to, these Shuddha Bhaktas don't have to go through this hard work cycle. Okay. All they do is they are just fully devoted to me, to Krishna. That's their duty or their job, or if you want to say their career, or their activity is just full absorption in Krishna. Okay. And Krishna says, I take care of the rest. He's literally saying that. I take care of the rest. And the rasa that they experience is not, it's not like that they are missing out on something. Oh, look at my neighbor. He is, drinking soma juice. Modern soma juice could be whatever, driving in a Tesla and whatever you may consider your highest standard of pleasure. Living in a 5-star deluxe setting. What they experience is far more sweeter than the heavenly pleasures. And their enjoyment is not temporary. They don't go through kshine punye martyalokam vishanti. That does not happen. That is permanent. It is eternal. From our materialistic viewpoint, it may appear that they are suffering. But we are applying our consciousness on them. We think that if I was in that situation, I would suffer. Actually, they are also thinking in the same way. If I am in this person's situation with so much materialistic attachments, I would suffer. the bhakta also then thinks I would run away from that. I don't want all this material opulence. Otherwise, I will, become distracted from Krishna. So he thinks materialist is suffering, materialist thinks he is suffering. But in absolute terms, his enjoyment is far more. So this nice picture is there. Krishna takes care of the devotee. One who is fully absorbed, fully. Okay, there are some examples also. I have put some full absorption, complete full absorption, and Krishna is their driver. They are completely carefree, completely carefree. And there is this final example of great Acharya, another Acharya by the name Haridas Thakura. Actually, he was born in a Muslim family, but he always used to chant Krishna's name. And he was living in Bengal, whose ruler at that time was a Muslim ruler, Nawab Hussain Shah. So he was always thinking, this fellow is born in a Muslim family and he's taking Krishna's name all the time. He needs to be taught a lesson. And he thinks he's a great spiritual person. So that king arranged for he said, I will discredit him. Better than killing somebody is killing his reputation. So I will kill his reputation. So he arranges for a local prostitute to go to Haridas Thakur. Then he would send some, other people then later. So dekho, see what he's doing behind the scene. So when she went there, she said he took the most, capable person like that. And then she went and said, oh, come, let's, have a talk and all that. Tried to attract him. So he said, okay, you sit down. I just have to finish my kirtan, my japa. After that, we will talk. She didn't know that his japa never finishes. He was literally doing Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. Satatam means 24/7. So she kept waiting and then she slept off, dozed off. When she woke up, he was still doing. She said, oh, you're still doing? No, I had stopped. But you were sleeping. Now I have again started. So please wait. When this session finishes, then I will talk to you. Again, she kept waiting. Like this, 3 days passed. And then simply by hearing of the name of Bhagavan Krishna from the mouth of a shuddha bhakta like Haridas Thakur, she realized that the reality, that how much of a sinful activity she was going to do by trying to discredit such a great bhakta. And then she became a devotee. She revealed that the king sent me. So actually the king's reputation got destroyed, that he is trying all these manipulation. And she became a devotee. Okay, so this is how powerful Shuddha Bhakta is. And what the point of this exercise or this example is that the Lord not only protects the material situation, but he also protects the spiritual consciousness of a devotee. Okay. Completely he was under the protection of Bhagavan. All right. So yoga kshemam vahamyaham, very, very important verse.
Prabhuji, is work the worship? Is the work that we do for our living is a worship?
So the question is the work that we do worship? No. Did you get your answer? Answer, it was a yes/no question, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me elaborate. So answer is no. unless it is done as an offering to Krishna.
If it
And
is
that
done with
is-
an intention of offering.
Yes, and that is exactly what we will cover in next few verses. Yad karoshi, yad ashnashi, yad juhoshi, dadasi yad tapasyashi konteya. Tad kurushva, that you do, mad arpanam, as an offering to me. If you do like that, mam upaishyati konteya, then you will come to me. Okay? Just doing your work, that is like trying to say that, telling, your wife, I'm watching a movie, she is cooking. I'm helping you. Wait, how are you helping me? I'm doing the cooking and you're watching TV. No, I'm helping you by providing you the intention that may your cooking be successful. All that kind of like, it's nonsense. It's just some word jugglery, isn't it? Work is worship. Oh, do you do worship? Yes, I do worship. How? I do my work. Wait, how is that worship? No, I do my work. It is worship. That's just nonsense. It's just like saying, oh, I am helping my wife. How are you helping? By watching TV, I'm helping my wife. It is as ludicrous as that. All right?
Yeah. But Prabhuji, without any, just excuse me.
Yes. No, go ahead. Challenge. You can put forth challenging questions. No problem.
In this
Answers will be through Bhagavad Gita.
Definitely.
As long as it is substantiated through Bhagavad Gita, that we have to accept. If you say that, no, I have heard from somewhere work is worship.
No.
And there is not even a single sentence in Bhagavad Gita which either you can quote, or if I am quoting a exact opposite, you have no answer to that or refutation to that, then we have a disagreement. We will base everything on Bhagavad Gita, and based on that, we can have a as deep discussion, as much of a Q&A, counter questions, no problem. The idea is that you leave with a full clarification. So yes, what is your counter question?
No, my counter question, it's not a counter question.
Sure, but
just
go ahead.
Excuse me if any such impression is there. So in this whole story of Mahabharata and all, what we saw, we never heard of Arjuna. Of course, at some of the instances, he's praying to Lord and he's sitting at his feet, lotus feet, and those things are there. But prior to that, he became Arjuna because of his sheer dedication and practice and a lot of hard work that he put into his while Arjuna Acharya was teaching him and all those things. So it is shown that the amount of concentration that Arjuna has, it nobody other disciples of Arjuna Acharya.
Correct.
So that is very much highlighted, and that is the kind of concentration we need to become an Arjuna.
Yeah, but the question is, do you want to become that kind of Arjun?
So,
Or do you want to become that Haridas Thakur or Mirabai or Surdas kind of a devotee? There is a big difference. If you give a bow and arrow in the hand of Surdas, he's blind even. He cannot even point in the right direction.
yeah.
Okay, so Arjun is a different kind of shuddha bhakta, but that is not the kind of shuddha bhakta that is recommended or it is even possible in Kali Yuga.
Okay.
In Kali Yuga, therefore, these are more contemporary examples. All these three examples are within last 500 years. Arjuna is from 5,000 years ago, but it does not mean that there cannot be Shuddha Bhakta or he is not a Shuddha Bhakta at heart. So here is the point, from what I understand from what you said. Most of the knowledge we get about Arjuna is from Mahabharata. Mahabharata, the bhakti is not the main theme that is being highlighted in Mahabharata. Okay, just like Mahatma Gandhi was also a great devotee of Lord Ram. It is not possible that when you are being shot and you are dying, the last words that come out is Ram. It's not possible just out of luck. But that is not what we understand about Mahatma Gandhi, because his highlight is completely different as freedom fighter and whatnot. In the same way, most of the knowledge that we get about Arjuna is from Mahabharata, which is Dharma Shastra. It is not Bhakti Shastra. Means that the focus is Dharma, not Bhakti. And nowhere it is written that a bhakta cannot be very serious in his whatever his duties. Nowhere it is written like that. So many devotees, shuddha bhaktas, are very serious in whatever duty they are doing. Look at Srila Prabhupada himself. This whole movement across the world wasn't created by being lax or being, just, what will you call? He had very strong organizational skills in that sense. He was like a kshatriya. He used to write like 20, 30, 40 letters every day. We cannot write even 20 emails a day properly. So many emails we just ignore. People have to send 5 reminders before you have to reply to email. He used to personally write all those letters, and he had massive organizational skills, but he was a Shuddha Bhakta. If you want to read about the bhakti of Arjuna, the bhakti is there in the heart. Like if you want to read, let's say, I'm just making it up, of Mahatma Gandhi, you should not read a freedom fighter book. You should read some other book maybe. Because there you will see that aspect. You read the Srimad Bhagavatam. There are so many chapters in the first canto itself where you will see the extreme amount of bhakti in the heart of Arjuna. So that aspect is highlighted in those Bhakti Shastra about the same person. Just because in the Dharma Shastra it is not mentioned, it doesn't mean that it does not exist in his heart. You have to read from the right place where that theme is highlighted. You should see the state of Arjuna when he goes to Dwarka just before the departure of Lord Krishna, when his pastimes ended. How devastated Arjuna is. And not just Arjuna, all the Pandavas. And when they hear that Lord Krishna has departed, immediately they give up their kingdom, which they've got after such a big world war. They give it to their such a young son Parikshit. They make him the king and they leave. Said, now what is our use of our life? If Krishna is gone, they were very capable. They had so many more years ahead of them. If they wanted, they could have ruled. They just gave it to their grandson because none of the sons were left. The only heir was Parikshit. They made him king and they left to the forest. And you should see the amount of devastation, the love that they had for Krishna in their heart. Those things are covered in Bhakti Shastra such as Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay?
Sure.
Does that answer your question?
It's perfectly. I think the first line you said, like, if you do your work with an intention of offering to Krishna, that's where
yes.
It is.
And so, I mean, even in the Bhagavad, even in the Mahabharata, if you read carefully, you will see that though it is so deeply embedded, you will see the aspect of bhakti come out. I'll give you one example. I think I have given this example before. When the Rajasuya Yajna was done, and then big celebration was done to, declare the culmination of the Rajasuya Yajna. They have to select the sort of the main presiding guest of honor. And one whole chapter of Mahabharata is dedicated to selecting the chief guest of honor. Krishna was also there. Okay. And they were debating, should this person be, then his qualities are being discussed. Should this person be made guest of honor? And there you will see ultimately Bhishma Pitamaha recommends. He's also a great devotee. And this is before Mahabharata war. The Rajasuya Yajna and everything. When the Pandavas were the kings of Indraprastha, they divided the kingdom into Hastinapur and Indraprastha. And Bhishma Pitamaha, who is a great devotee, he suggests Lord Krishna should be the guest of honor. And here are his qualities because he is a devotee. But that whole thing, if you just read Mahabharata superficially, it will appear like, oh, A, B, C, D. They chose C. It's like one of the many options. That's how it will appear to a person who is not a bhakta. But you should see the fact that how Bhishma Pitamaha, in his heart, there is so much devotion for Lord Krishna, and he's wondering what is going on. It's like a, it's an obvious choice. If Krishna is there, who else can be the chief guest? It has to be him, but he is just keeping quiet. But to the reader, it will appear like, oh, it was A, B, C, D, E, F. It's like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay, Krishna. So that is hidden. It gets hidden. Okay.
Arjuna's mother was a pure devotee, Kunti Maharani. So the way he was brought up would have been with Bhakti. We may not hear about it in Mahabharata.
Again, in Srimad Bhagavatam, you read the 8th chapter of the first canto, you will see the deep bhakti of Kunti Maharani. 9th chapter has deep bhakti of Bhishma Pitamaha. The 13th or the 13th chapter, 14th chapters have the devotion of the Pandavas shown. Okay.
Also, Prabhuji, like Arjuna, when he had to fight with Yadus, right, he realized that all the ability that he got was from Krishna.
Krishna,
So,
yep.
yeah.
Okay. Yes. And then Lord Krishna mentions the final blow, the most sort of very direct for those who are still worshipping. Still, he's saying that those who still worship other devatas with full devotion. Okay, this is very important to understand. It's not that Lord Krishna is against the devatas. Please be very, very clear about this point. Lord Krishna is, some people say there's some like, he's a like egoist, or oh, only me, my way or the highway. If you don't worship me, I will cast you in hell. I will punish you. Not like that. The point that is being made is still after knowing even, because in the 7th chapter, he has mentioned that if somebody wants to worship the devatas, I in fact make his faith stronger in that worship. Okay, you want to worship, you do that. No problem. So there is no competition. But Lord Krishna is saying that those who still worship the devatas with full devotion, if you see the 23rd verse, ye api anya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha. Shraddhayanvita means with full devotion they are doing it, with the meaning given by our acharyas are by neglecting and discarding Krishna, keeping Krishna completely away. Only the devatas. Not acknowledging that these devatas' powers also come from Krishna. Completely neglecting Krishna. That is the meaning. Te api mameva kaunteya. They are also worshipping me indirectly. But there is a but, big but, and this is the last line. Yajanti avidhi purvakam. But they do so in a avidhi purvakam. In a avidhi, in a wrong way. That's the wrong way of worshipping the devatas. Actually, even the devatas don't like that. Okay. So many people do Lakshmi Puja. Lakshmi Puja means, if I give only invitation to your wife, please come home. And mera kya matlab, you're inviting my wife, or main kya matlab, phaltu hu kya main? Will you like it? If I just invite your wife for lunch or dinner or some husband ka kya matlab, you bhul gaye kya? So neglect. So that is not correct. If you worship Lakshmi, you worship Narayan also. That's fine. But our mentality, this is called Ravana mentality. If Ravan had kidnapped both Ram and Sita, that would have been great. Lord Ram would have shifted Ayodhya into Lanka itself. No problem. But his problem was he only wanted Sita without Ram. Ram, Sita, no problem. So that is the Ravana mentality. That you worship the demigod in the same sense. Lakshmi, I'm not saying Lakshmi ji is demigod, but I'm just making the point here. But you forget the source. That is avidhi purvakam. So then the question is, what is the right way? So the right way is consciousness. It's not like you have to completely discard and neglect the demigods. No, that's not being said. Yes, if you don't want to worship the demigods or you, that's fine. That is 100% valid. Okay, but if you want to worship the demigods, have at least at a minimum the consciousness, knowledge, know that. What should you know? Aham hi sarvayagyanam bhakta cha prabhureva cha. I am aham hi. At least know that I am the Lord, the Prabhu and receiver, bhakta of sarvayagyanam, all kinds of worships and offerings. At least have that consciousness. Don't neglect Krishna completely in mind and in internal and external. At least have this consciousness. No, everything is ultimately coming from Krishna. That's the first step. To acknowledge, to recognize. All right. Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha. Na tu mam abhijanati tatvena tas cha chavantite. That I am everything. This is my main tattva to be understood. So that at least in your consciousness, one must be aware that everything is coming from Krishna. With this consciousness, it is okay to do whatever duties you are doing, including the worship of demigods, at a minimum. Okay. Then, now this is not from Bhagavad Gita directly, but how to do Devata worship. I just wanted to say, for many, many people, it may be that one is doing Devata worship. And when I say Devata, the most common ones would be like worship of Ganesh ji, Kartikeya, or Devi, like goddess Durga or Kali, or so many other, these are the most common ones. The Vedic Devis and Devatas. So we should at least in our mind, at a minimum, acknowledge or recognize that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. If we have more inclination, then we put Krishna at the top and we put the Devis and Devatas at the next level. So if we have like a little temple or a little, area where we do worship, you put Krishna at the top, or Narayana or Ram, whoever, and then put the Devis and Devatas at a little bit lower level. So that externally and internally, you will know that, yes, who is the boss and who is the subordinate, but we will worship both. The Devatas are also nice devotees, good devotees of Bhagavan. Bhagavan is not having any ego. Why you are worshipping these other people? Get them out. Only me. He's not a narcissist. Okay. So he will like it. And then the Devis, Devatas will also like it. So that's a very harmonious situation. So like that we can do. And that way we don't offend or don't discard or disregard our family tradition, what has been coming down. Plus we are aligned with the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. So that would be the right way of worshipping demigods. Okay. And then in 9.25, Lord Krishna says that the destinations are different. Whoops. Those who worship me directly, Lord Krishna says, they come to me. That, and then various other people who worship the demigods, yanti deva vrata devan, pitrin yanti pritravrata. So yanti deva vrata devan, deva vrata, who do the worship of the devatas. Devan, they go to the planets of the devatas, like swarga. If you are worshipping Indra, there is worship of Indra described. You can go to Swarga Loka. And so many others. Pitrin yanti pritravrataha bhutani yanti bhutejya Yanti mad yajino apimam. But those who worship me come to me. That is the main point. Okay. Now, okay, let's stop and see. We are going to make a small, sort of a big transition into the next section. Some people I had stopped because there was a continuation of flow. Are there questions that anybody has? So I see one, so previous slide for 1 second, please. So okay, that's fine. She's saying no. What if your work is charitable work or teaching work? Yep, so we covered both those things. Charitable work, teaching work, all these things are goodness, mode of goodness. They are good activities. They will earn you punya points. And they will take you to higher planets like swarga. But saying that that is equal to doing Krishna Bhakti is not correct. That is definitely better than sinful activities. Definitely better. Sinful activities will take you lower into the hellish planets. Good activities take you to the higher planets or to the earthly planets in the next, depends on how much good, how many punya points. If you have few punya points, you come to this earthly planet in a better life, whatever it may be. With lot more punya points, you can go to the higher planets as well. So all these activities, good teaching, good charitable, good, all those things are punya activities. But that is not equal to bhakti. We will see this more contrast in chapter 14 and 17, where specific activities are described of dana, charity, of tapasya, austerity, of yajna, which means sacrifices. In the mode of goodness, you will see it is being described, and you will see, yes, wow, I thought all this was worship of Krishna. But then after describing all that, Lord Krishna says you must go above these, what is called as guna atita. And then he says this very sweet verse in 14th chapter, yo mam avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate, that one must do avyabhicharini bhakti, mam, my bhakti. Avyabhicharini means unbroken. Same thing as ananya, single focused. Avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. So like this one should do. So there is a difference between mode of goodness and shuddha bhakti. But shuddha bhakti, for shuddha bhakti, mode of goodness is the best platform. So it's not that one should neglect being a good person. A bhakta is also a good person. Bhakta being a sinful person doesn't go together. Never, you will see, ever, ever. Give me one example of a shuddha bhakta who is sinful. He may be demoniac in a family wise, like Prahlad. Prahlad is from demoniac family, isn't it? He is son of what? Hiranyakashipu. Same with Bali Maharaj. He is also from demoniac family, but great devotee. So many other demoniac family people, they can be. So bhakti is not by your family lineage. It is by your guna and karma, like Prahlad. Okay. Okay, so we will continue forward. So 9.25, Lord Krishna has described this. So he is describing this worship of Devi Devatas, correct? And he's saying if one is doing that, only one is doing it in the wrong way. That's point number one. All right. Point number two is that he's saying, on the contrast, my bhakti is so simple. I mean, it's almost like a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you? So first point is, like it was mentioned here, yeah, they don't have to go through the hard work cycle. I take care of the rest. The rasa is higher. They get eternal enjoyment, permanent enjoyment. These are great benefits. But the process itself is also much easier. I mean, like, it's too good to be true. For higher benefit, typically you have to work harder, isn't it? But here it's opposite. Here he's saying that loving me, bhakti is nothing. If you translate it into English, you can call it devotion. Another way of translating it would be love. Loving me is so simple, he says. He says that I become satisfied by the simplest of offerings. And what do you do in a yajna, in an elaborate yajna? What do? You give offerings into the fire. Or that hard work of that person, there was like a fire behind him. So it's like you're doing yajna on your laptop. Hard work. All that is a lot of hard work. So Lord Krishna says, I don't need all this hard work to be satisfied. I am satisfied by the simplest of offerings. So 9.26, he says, what are the requirements? Now he is giving the requirements. What are his requirements? Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Have you ever heard more simple requirements than this? Patram means what? Leaf. How much does a leaf cost? What is the cost of a leaf? Nothing. Isn't it? You can go anywhere and pluck one leaf. Patram, pushpam. One flower. How much does it cost? Nothing. You go in the jungle, you can pluck a flower. And actually, Krishna likes jungle flowers. That's why he's called, another name for Krishna is Vanamali. Vanamali means of the forest, who makes a garland of flowers, the forest flowers, not your garden beautiful roses and all those whatever you call high quality flowers, just forest flowers. So patram pushpam phalam. Phalam means fruit, one berry. It doesn't even have to be big fruit, small fruit. Toyam, water. How much is one palm full of water? So one palm full of water. So he says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachyati. So prayachyati means to offers. But who offers? Bhakta. So bhakta offers how? Tad aham bhakti upahritam. If it is offered by the bhakta with bhakti, with love. So the only key ingredient is what? Love. Love for me. Ashnami. Ashnami means I eat it. Eat it, or you can say accept it. Prayatatmanaha. With lot of love, I will accept it. I become happy, Krishna says, with these most simplest of offerings. The only key ingredient is love. If love is there, I will accept the pettiest offering. This patram pushpam phalam toyam, the point is not that it has to be these four. The point it is so petty. It's free of cost. Whereas look at that picture of yajna. Some people are doing yajna. How much money it takes to do that kind of yajna? So many requirements are there. And look at this verse. So he had been describing all those yajnas as per the Vedas. You do that, then you go to the swarga. Versus, you just offer me this and you can go to spiritual world, not just swarga. There is no, it's a what you call no-brainer, complete no-brainer. That is the point. So, just simple water. You just offer water to Krishna, he's satisfied. So you will see the pettiness of the offerings. There is, this story of Vidura's wife. She wanted to give bananas to Krishna, but in her excitement, she was throwing away the bananas and giving the banana peel, the chilka of the banana, to Krishna. And Krishna was happily eating that. So it was not even phala. It was the peel, the rejected portion of the phala, but the key ingredient was still present, which is love, bhakti. And Krishna was happily eating. Same thing with Sudama. He brought this, decayed, it became decayed because he traveled such a long distance to Dwarka. So it became decayed in the meantime. Still, Krishna accepted it, and then it is written in Bhagavatam, he washed his feet, Sudama's feet. He made him sit on his own throne and he washed his feet. And Rukmini, who is Krishna's wife, was fanning them. But she was in disbelief. Like, who is this such a person who my Lord Krishna is willing to wash the feet for? And then there's this example of Shabri. Half-eaten fruits she was giving. So there is no, it's the pettiest of offerings, pettiest. There is no at all comparison. Okay, and Krishna will be fully satisfied, fully. It's not like he's half satisfied. He's fully satisfied with such an offering. That is the simplicity. Compare that to elaborate worship of the Devis, Devatas, etc. to go to swarga. So that should be the goal, what Bhagavad Gita is asking us to take on. So bhakti, it's not, we are not used to it, but we are used to hard work. We are in that yajna mode, in this top left-hand mode. We are here, we feel, oh, this is easy and this is hard. Doesn't it feel like that? Yeah, I'd rather do my 12 hours of job and, fight with my boss and customers and sales target, quarterly results, this, that much is, that one is easier. This bhakti is so hard. It feels like that. But when we go deeper and we try it out, we do practice, we will see some results. Just by looking at these pictures, it should be obvious that this bottom is much simpler and easier than the top one, isn't it? So by practice, we become convinced that yes, truly, when we start doing it sincerely with faith, that yes, this is, we should not fear that, oh, if we don't do this, we'll miss out on something. That should not be the feeling. We should give it up, like leave it. I think I have told that whole story of the 3 stone carriers. Did I point you all to it? On the Gita PDX website, if you can, for those that are interested, can find it. There is the story of these 3 stone carriers. Very, very sweet story. You have to give up your extreme material pursuits for sense gratification. You cannot hold on to it and do bhakti. You cannot do top side and bottom side. To do the bottom ones, you have to give up the top one. That courage is needed. That willingness to drop it. I'm done with all this material pursuits. Now, as far as living, making a livelihood is concerned, that much is perfectly allowed. Perfectly allowed. All these examples here, they were having a livelihood. Vidura was having a livelihood. He was a minister in Dhritarashtra's ministry. He got a salary. Sudama also had his students. He was a Brahmana. He was doing the teaching. They would give dakshina. He would have some livelihood, very poor. But he was not suffering. In his heart, there was no suffering. But it's not like every day you have to eat samosas and pakoras. You can eat dry chipped rice also. It will also satisfy your hunger. If you want to eat in 5-star restaurant every day, then you have to work very hard. But if you want to eat simple Krishna Prasad, very simple livelihood is enough. So simple livelihood for maintenance of one's family and body is allowed in bhakti, is okay. You don't have to give that up. It's this extra lavish, all these unnecessary things, that is to be given up. And then bhakti takes up that space, and it flourishes. Okay. So what Lord Krishna is saying, even though he's saying that you don't need to change anything. Okay, so one may be living a very lavish lifestyle, but for modern people, yes, change is needed in terms of downsizing, making our lives simple. Once one becomes a very advanced bhakta, then like Pandavas, now they also went through a lot of suffering, if you remember, before they finally had the Mahabharata war and they became king. Temporarily, yes, they had Indraprastha and all that, but then they were invited to the gambling match. They lost everything. They almost, lost their life. And so many times, even during the Vanvas, 13 years, so many attempts were made on their life. Every time Krishna only rescued them. So they almost lost their life also. Then they became kings, but even when they were kings, they did not lose their bhakti. Their shuddha bhakti was always there. So there are great kings also who are shuddha bhaktas, but we should not take that example. That, oh, I will maintain all my lavish lifestyle. I will be my little king in my, little domain, and yet I will call myself shuddha bhakta. Don't fool yourself. Look at the other examples who gave up everything and became shuddha bhakta. That example should be applied to us. If you really want to apply the example of the King Pandavas or Maharaj Ambarisha or others, then good luck to you. At least I won't be able to guide you. How to be a Maharaj Ambarish, but still a shuddha bhakta. Then you have to find Maharaj Ambarish to guide you. In Kali Yuga, we should take the example of the other kind of devotees who have given up this extra lavishness. And then bhakti, really, the soil becomes very ripe. Or as we say, the wood becomes dry. And then it catches the fire of bhakti much more quickly. Okay? So that is the recommended path. Bhoga Aishwarya Prasaktanam Taya Aprita Chetasam. So too much Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Samadhav na vidhiyate. With too much of Bhoga and Aishwarya, having spiritual progress is hard. Not impossible, but almost impossible. Very hard. There are exceptions. But if you want to count on the exceptions, then good luck to you. Okay. So in that spirit, it's not written here, you don't need to change anything. You do need to change some things for most of us. But the point being made here, this is another super important verse. Yad karoshi, yad ashnashi, yad juhoshi, dadasi, yad tapasyasi kaunteya, tad kurushva madarpanam. That so many examples are given that yad karoshi, whatever you are doing, keep doing that. So just apply it like this. Yad karoshi, tad kurushva madarpanam. This tad kurushva madarpanam, apply it after yad everything. Yad karoshi, tad kurushva madarpanam. Yad ashnashi, tad kurushva madarpanam. Yad juhoshi, tad kurushva madarpanam. Dadasi yad, tad kurushva madarpanam. Tapasyasi kaunteya, tad kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you are doing, whatever you are giving, whatever you are eating, anything you are doing, do it with what is written here, with full absorption of me. The mind should be absorbed fully in Krishna. That is the requirement. But if you are thinking, I will eat the best samosa in the 5-star restaurant and then absorb my mind in Krishna, that is kind of little bit counter logic. You are thinking about the fact that I will eat the best food in the best restaurant. Where is then absorption in Krishna? It doesn't go together. Do you see that? Then it becomes lip service. Then you got your nice samosas on your plate and then you say, Hare Krishna. Oh, nice samosa. Yes, you said Hare Krishna for like 3/4 of a second. But then bhakti is that much then. It's better than, not saying Hare Krishna before eating the samosa, but don't think it is Shuddha Bhakta stage. One should not be confused. Many people are confused. I'm making great progress in Krishna Bhakti. Why? Before eating anything, I just say Hare Krishna. That's very nice. But that is a very, very, very dilute level of bhakti. One should not think this is Shuddha Bhakti or it is even halfway toward or even 10% toward Shuddha Bhakti. It's just you're scratched the surface. The story behind Shabri, one day only she got to feed half-eaten fruits to Lord Ram. Her guru had told, one day Lord Ram will come. You stay here in this hut. One day the Lord, she didn't know Ram or whatever, one day the Supreme Lord will come. Every day she used to gather the fruits and taste them, or gather them and keep them ready. For 60 years, every day she gathered and kept it ready. She had that much faith on her guru's words. One day the Lord came. That was the jackpot. Okay. She didn't think, oh, the day Lord comes, then I will go and pick the fruits. He can wait for 10 minutes. No. Or, I will put a little video camera. I will live in a 5-star hotel. When I see him coming, then I will run and come. All these logic, all these, jugaad, what we call in Hindi, all these our mental concoctions. Somehow I will, I will do my bhakti. At the same time, I will enjoy. So we must read and understand the mood and the effort behind the bhakti of the bhakta. And we must try to be like that. That is real bhakti. Not just go by one story and say, oh, somehow I will wing it. My children have taught me this modern slang, wing it. Wing it means like, what is the Hindi equivalent? I'll,
Which one?
I'll wing it.
last minute पे सब हो जाएगा.
Last minute mein somehow I will just wing it. So that is not bhakti. So Shuddha Bhakti is, so one should not trivialize Shuddha Bhakti. But largely we don't have to change much. In our external life, you don't have to give up family. One of the biggest concerns people have, do I have to give up my family life? No, if the family is made of devotees and you're making progress together, then actually it is better. You support each other in bhakti, like Vidura and his wife. They didn't divorce. They were very much husband and wife. When she told what happened, he was very happy. Sudama also was married. He was not, sannyasi. So bhaktas are never, rarely you will see bhakta being a sannyasi. Pandavas, they were not sannyasis. They still had Draupadi and Subhadra and others. Okay. So bhaktas are never, Ambarish Maharaj, he had his wife. They were all devotees. Vidura and his wife were both devotees. Draupadi was a devotee. Okay. So that is the simplicity. So bhakti is not like jnana, jnana marg. Jnana marg, the first step is sannyas. Before that is all practice. You will be called only a, practice person. To actually get on the Gyan path, the first step is it starts with sannyas. In bhakti, sannyas doesn't even have a place. I mean, you can be a sannyasi, but it's optional. You don't have to be. So many shuddha bhaktas were never sannyasis throughout their life. Pandavas were never sannyasis. They went to the mountains and then they, went to the spiritual world along with Draupadi. Yes, Draupadi fell for, that's the story is there. But they never left their wife and took sannyas. So in bhakti, sannyas is not, you can continue to be a grihastha. Grihastha means there can be a griha and a grihani. Both can be there. You can have a griha and grihani. And grihani, when I say for grihani, and it's meant for women also. Bhakti is not just for men. We will see that in the very 32nd verse. Bhakti is for all human beings. Equally. Man and woman. So woman can definitely have a husband. Husband can have a wife. They can have a home. They can have a child. And all that and do very nice bhakti. Okay. So we will stop here, 9.27, then 28. What is the result? We discussed this little bit. Two main results. We'll discuss 27 and 28 again. And next week, we will complete chapter 9 and maybe start chapter 10. But definitely we'll complete. This is the core message of Bhagavad Gita. It doesn't get deeper than this. This is the deepest point of Bhagavad Gita. This is your Mariana's Trench, the deepest point. Or you can say the tip of the Everest, highest point. Okay, so we are into the highest or deepest, whatever you call, portion of Bhagavad Gita. So 28, he says, we already covered this a little bit before, Shubha Ashubha Phalai Revam Moksha Se Karma Bandhana. By doing like 27, which is Yad Karoshi Tad Kurushvama Darpanam, Yadashnashi Tad Kurushvama Darpanam. Like that, if you do, then that work does not produce any karmic reaction. No punya, no papa. Shubha Ashubha Phala Moksha Se Karma Bandhana. Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma. It is as if you are a sannyasi. That's what a sannyasi does. So you are actually a sannyasi in that sense. And Vimukto Mam Upaishyasi. That you get liberated after this life ends, you come to me. Great, good deal. We'll continue from 27 onwards next time. Okay, so what questions did I neglect or did I not answer? I know there were devotees that were raising their hands, so we can spend 10 minutes on Q&A at this point. So in the meantime, there's one question online. Should we offer prasadam to the Lord with tulsi leaf? So first of all, what we offer to the Lord is not called prasad. Prasad becomes after we take out. So what we offer to the Lord is called bhoga. Prasad becomes later. So it's like, afterward. So that is one correction in the question. So your question should be, should we offer bhoga to the Lord with tulsi leaf? It's not mandatory. There is only one mandatory requirement. Okay, there is no fine print. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has not given any fine print. It's not a marketing statement. Top mein everything good, fine print mein you come to, I didn't know all these extra strings attached. There are no strings attached. So what is the one and only primary ingredient? Love. So tulsi is not love. Tulsi leaf is tulsi leaf. So it is nice. Tulsi is a great devotee of the Lord. So if you have access to tulsi leaves, yes, by all means you can put and take it in your bhoga plate and to the Lord. But if you don't have, no problem. If you also have, sometimes one doesn't have, one gets from a friend, bunch of dry leaves in you can put a dry tulsi also, better than not putting anything. But not putting anything is also perfectly okay. Just do it with full of love. That should, otherwise, with no love, Even if you put 100 tulsi leaves, no use. Then it is just lip service. It's just a show off, dikhawa, external fake. Okay. So love is most important. What other questions were there?
I had a question, but I think you could answer. It was about, I think the text, verse 22, it was about, I carry what they lack. And I was going to ask, like, how open-ended is that? And actually, it is open-ended. I mean, it's like there is no limit to that. It's kind of what I heard.
Yeah, there is no limit at all for your, not to make your sense gratification increase, but to preserve your bhakti and whatever is needed so that you continue to be a good devotee. That Krishna will provide. Not so that you go away from him. All right? For your benefit, for your spiritual benefit, Krishna will not keep anything away from you. Just like a father, if you have a doubt, mostly apply the analogy of father and child. Okay, I'm a father myself. For your child's education, let us say that he got this great opportunity to do some very, very, very beneficial course, but it costs little more money than you can afford. Let us say, will you make some efforts to make sure he gets that, does that course, even though it is expensive? But if it is of his great benefit, yes. But let us say he says, no, I want to go and just, watch some movies and go to some bar and, whatever, waste money, and it costs 1/10 of that amount. Would you sanction that? No, even though it is 1/10. So it's not the amount which is the point. The point is whether it is for his benefit. So Krishna looks at our benefit. So if you think, oh, I want, a big mansion in whatever, some big place with 5 Teslas or this or that, and Krishna, I really want that. If it is going to be conducive for your bhakti, he will definitely give. To Srila Prabhupada, he gave so many Mercedes and Rolls Royces were there at his service because he was spreading Krishna consciousness. He would travel in aeroplanes. He did not even have enough money to take the first aeroplane from India to US. One kind woman gave him a free ticket on a cargo ship to come to US. He did not even have that money to buy a plane ticket. He spent 1 month on the ocean, got 2 heart attacks. But later on, he would fly around the world in aeroplanes. Krishna gave so much. Srila Prabhupada used to say, first Krishna tested me by taking away everything. Then he tested me by giving everything. Luckily, he passed, we all know, both tests. So whatever is needed for our bhakti, Krishna will give, whether it is more or less. No limits at all. Like for a child, you say, no limit, beta. If you get a good tuition, good books, good whatever education, I will pay. Don't you say as a father? Don't worry for the money. But even $1, if he asks for a bad thing, we will say no. Sorry. Can't give. Isn't it? So that is also Krishna's mentality. Anything else? Okay, if nothing else, then we will stop here. We will complete chapter 9 next week. Please make sure you attend. We again are still in the very, very deepest portion of 9th chapter, which will continue. And the first 11 verses of 10th chapter are equally deep. Then from there on, sort of the pressure will decrease. Pressure means like, then we go into other portions. But this is the core bhakti portion of the Bhagavad Gita till 10.11. Okay, so please try not to miss till that point. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. close this now.